Right now at ABC 10 News at 4, today marks the one-year anniversary of George Floyd's death at the hands of police. His family met today with the president and the vice president. How San Diegans are now honoring Floyd's life. Plus a look at the sweeping changes made by local law enforcement agencies over the last year right here in San Diego. And the USS Theodore Roosevelt returns home to San Diego after its second deployment in just a year. We're going to speak with families about reuniting with their loved ones after months apart.
ABC 10 News at 4 starts now.
It was the rallying cry heard around the world and the last words of George Floyd. Today, our country, including San Diego, is honoring Floyd's life 1 year since his murder at the hands of police in Minneapolis. His death sparked a worldwide movement for racial justice and police reform. I'm Steve Atkinson. ABC 10 News anchor Kimberly Hunt is joining us live from the County Administration Building downtown. Kim.
Steve, the death of George Floyd was indeed a referendum in this country on equality. And about an hour to 2 hours from now, people are going to be amassing here at the County Administration Building. There is a vigil in honor of George Floyd happening right here in San Diego, so many thousands of miles away from when he lost and where he lost his life 1 year ago today in Minneapolis, May 25th. 2020. Members of his family will be here today. They will be speaking as part of this crowd, and there are things like this happening all over the country. Also, members of George Floyd's family met with the president, the vice president, and Congress today. They are pushing for a bill that would reform police and would make things more equitable in this country. They want it to be named after George Floyd. And we have Isabella Rosales on that story in Washington with the very latest on the legacy of George Floyd.
On the anniversary of George Floyd's death, 9 minutes and 29 seconds of silence. Each moment marks a time Floyd spent under the knee of a former Minneapolis police officer convicted of murder.
I can't breathe.
Floyd's final words, now a rallying cry recognized around the world. I can't breathe. As protesters demand racial justice and an end to police brutality.
I can't breathe. It's become now almost the language of the streets.
President Joe Biden hoping to cement Floyd's legacy into law.
Legislation to tackle systemic misconduct in police departments, to restore trust between law enforcement and the people they're entrusted to serve and protect.
Floyd's family meeting with the president and members of Congress as the George Floyd Justice and Policing Act appears stalled in the Senate.
This will be one of the best things that you can pass across America. People shouldn't have to live in fear.
While Biden wanted a deal done by the anniversary of Floyd's death, the two lead Senate negotiators optimistic a bipartisan agreement on police reform can be reached soon.
We have to make progress here. We cannot lose this moment.
Floyd's family also encouraged. They say the nation and the world has changed in the year since George Floyd died.
I think things have changed. I think that it's moving slowly, but it's making progress.
Another group of activists here in San Diego held a rally today. They held that rally in front of the Hall of Justice on the streets of San Diego, calling for equality and racial justice in this country. The Racial Justice Coalition of San Diego spent 9 minutes and 29 seconds kneeling in that rally. That is the amount of time, of course, that Derek Chauvin was on George Floyd's neck. And the group wants to see more officers accused of brutality or misconduct prosecuted.
It is our duty to ensure that core issues that threaten the very existence of people of color and Black people in San Diego are addressed, and we will not stop until they are resolved.
And members say they especially want to see the charges filed in the case of Angel Hernandez. He is a local man who died in October of 2019 after being handcuffed and restrained by two transit officers. Now, law enforcement agencies across the country have made sweeping changes in the year since George Floyd's death. No exception right here in San Diego. There have been changes. ABC 10 News anchor Vanessa Van Hefty spoke with local agencies right here in San Diego about some of those changes and about the road ahead as we look at what this country needs to do to heal.
Black Lives Matter! Thousands of people flooded the streets across the country and here at home. Many exercised First Amendment rights, peacefully protesting the death of George Floyd. We also saw devastating riots. Police there for both. As people demanded reform, change happened fast. Days after Floyd's death, San Diego police banned the use of the carotid restraint. Other police agencies here at home followed suit. Soon after, it became illegal in the state of California. Detective Jack Schaefer, the president of the San Diego Police Officers Association, says the city is working with the union to continue to make change.
Hopefully we're getting to a better place where maybe we can be less divided. As far as the society, I think there's a lot of steps were made in the last year. Things don't change overnight.
In addition to banning the sleeper hold, there have been changes to the city's use of force policy and a new policy that requires employees to intervene when they witness excessive force. Mayor Todd Gloria also making a push for change that includes limiting the use of consent searches.
If we keep having real honest discussions, even some of the ones that aren't so comfortable, I think that it can only lead to making better decisions and doing the job better and better. And
there have been hundreds of bills on the table focused on law enforcement this year in California. A handful have made it into law so far. Vanessa Van Hefty, ABC 10 News.
The San Diego Sheriff's Association, for one, has made over a dozen changes. The Sheriff's Department making sure that they give de-escalation training to their new recruits as well as the veterans on the force. They're also recruiting now from diverse communities to try to change the scope of what the force looks like right here in San Diego. So, Steve, we have less than 2 hours before this crowd will gather in front of the County Administration Building. We will be here. We'll keep covering it for you live. I'm Kimberly Hunt at the County Administration Building. Back to you.
Expecting a big crowd. Kim, thank you. Floyd's murder sparked outrage across the world, including here in San Diego County. In the days after his death, people took to the streets in protest downtown and in La Mesa as well. The protest in La Mesa, they were also sparked by a now former officer's controversial arrest of a man at the trolley station. Looting occurred in La Mesa that demonstrators say were not part of their group or the message they were trying to send. Peaceful demonstrations continued for weeks across San Diego County. And of course, we will have continued coverage of the anniversary of George Floyd's death throughout this newscast. Coming up at 4:30, Kimberly will be speaking live with Francine Maxwell, the president of the NAACP San Diego branch.
The CDC is working to get a better picture on how many fully vaccinated people are still ending up with a coronavirus infection. As of April 30th, the U.S. recorded more than 10,000 breakthrough cases. That's out of 101 million fully vaccinated people. The majority were women and the average age, 58. Less than 1,000 were hospitalized and health officials are continuing to monitor the cases. Now we turn to the news feed and we start with some encouraging news about how effective another COVID-19 vaccine can be in teens. Moderna says its two-shot vaccine showed the same amount of immunity in teens as adults. It hopes to submit that data to the government next month. Pfizer is already approved for younger people. The U.S. wants more to be done to look into just how coronavirus started. The World Health Assembly released a joint report with Chinese scientists, but the U.S. Health Secretary says a follow-up needs to be done and be independent. The U.S. says Americans should avoid traveling to Japan with cases of COVID surging there. And the Japanese now saying that warning should not have an impact on athletes who want to compete in this summer's Olympics in Tokyo. The U.S. is worried about variants of the virus that could pose a risk even to those who are vaccinated.
2 people are in the hospital tonight after a semi-truck crashed into several cars on the 163 and caused a fuel spill there. Sky10 was overhead along Friars and Ulrich roads when this happened around noon today. San Diego Fire says that the truck smashed into 4 other vehicles and about 50 gallons of that fuel then spilled. It's unclear what led up to that crash. The area was cleared within just the last hour. And in just the last 30 minutes, the San Diego City Council voted to keep SDG&E as the local power company. Mayor Todd Gloria negotiated a 10-year deal with an option for another 10. Now, this would bring $80 million to the city. Gloria says it will also help advance San Diego's climate change and equity goals. Critics, though, say that SDG&E charges unfairly high rates compared to other utilities. They wanted the city to explore taking over power service itself. The council approved the agreement in a 6-3 vote. Families looking for a Memorial Day staycation have a new place to stay. Oceanside is debuting 2 new oceanfront hotels. Our ABC 10 News reporter Rachel Bianco has the story from local leaders who say this development is helping to transform the military town into a tourist destination.
Oceanside is known for the beach, the military, and now a new high-end resort.
A labor of love, for sure.
A labor of love, 30 years in the making. Leslie Gall is the CEO of Visit Oceanside. She's talking about the debut of the Mission Pacific Hotel and the Seabird Resort located directly across from the pier.
Going to be a real catalyst for Oceanside, a real game changer, and really enhance the community.
It's the largest oceanfront hotel development in San Diego County in more than 50 years. The pandemic hit the tourism industry hard, but she says Oceanside did better than expected.
Oceanside visitor spending was down 28%, whereas the rest of California was down 55%. So we fared relatively well.
The city, home to Camp Pendleton, is experiencing a renaissance of sorts.
The military is a really important part of our heritage, but I think you've discovered, and people have discovered, that we're much more than that as well.
Also a draw, the famous Top Gun house sits in between the 2 new hotels. It's newly painted blue like in the movie and will open this summer as a dessert shop.
Really quite phenomenal how popular it still is to this date from an international standpoint, too.
Liz Wolf lives in Oceanside. She says she'll miss the beach parking this lot used to provide, but she thinks the resort will benefit the city.
Oceanside, from many, many years ago, hadn't had the best reputation, but it's very clean, it's very beautiful here, and I think people will like it.
The Seabird Resort opens May 27th. That's also when local leaders will gather to celebrate the opening of both hotels. Reporting in Oceanside, Rachel Bianco, ABC 10 News.
And Rachel tells us those new hotels are expected to provide at least 300 jobs.